Hi fellow plant lovers, I am Snigdha and welcome to Love and Lettuce. Here I share tips, tricks and real life gardening adventures so that you can have your own little green oasis no matter how much space you have. Today we are going to talk about our beloved universally grown crop, potato. So there are many varieties of potatoes, but usually potatoes are cool weather loving plants. Their ideal growth temperature is between 60 to 65 degree Fahrenheit or 15 to 18 degrees Celsius. And if the temperature rises above 65 degrees Fahrenheit, then their growth slows down. Potatoes require 8 to 10 hours of sun and they prefer well-draining, sandy, loamy soil with consistent irrigation and lots of fertilizer during their growth cycle. I had planted my potatoes 3 months ago. So in today's video, I'm going to show you two harvests. One at the 90th day mark and another one at 110th day mark. And the reason I'm showing you these two harvests is so that you can learn how potatoes look when they are 90 days old and how they look when they are 110 days old. So let's go. So here we are in my patch of potatoes. As you can see, the plants look green, healthy and fantastic. The potatoes that I had planted here were regular grocery store bought potatoes. They were 5 inches big that I had cut in half. They had sprouted before I cut them in half and had planted them in dirt. Usually potatoes of that size take 3 to 4.5 months to mature and smaller potatoes mature faster, would usually take 7 to 8 weeks to mature. What do we mean by maturity? Mature potato plants usually are the ones that are flowering or the ones that have died. As you can see, neither of my plants have flowered or they are dead, so they are not yet ready to harvest. One thing I can't stress enough is that potatoes are heavy feeders. They require a lot of fertilizer during their growth cycle. When I had planted these potatoes in the growing bags, I had planted them with an all-purpose organic fertilizer and bone meal. You take potting mix, you add some compost, you add half cup of organic fertilizer, half cup of bone meal in 15-gallon grow bags. And throughout their growing cycle, they appreciate a dusting of plantain fertilizer, like 2 tablespoons of plantain fertilizer and 2 tablespoons of bone meal. You just mix it in soil and they will grow very healthy. Unfortunately, when I planted these potatoes, I had given them one initial feeding and I had just fertilized them once in 3 months. So I'm not expecting a huge harvest this time, but I have another month to course correct. So we'll see what happens after a month. So let's open a bag today. We are at a 90-day mark and find out how the potatoes are doing today. I'm not going to open all the bags because I still want other potatoes to grow till their full maturity. So they will sit in the bags for another month and a half. I'm going to try to add fertilizer and see if I can course correct. But let's open one bag and see how many potatoes we have. So this is our bag of potatoes and this is a wheelbarrow where I'm going to undo it. So this is a yellow plant. I am really hoping this plant is ready. So let's find out. It's a very heavy bag. As you can see, it's a 15-gallon bag. As I said before, I am not sure what's the best way to undo it, but let's see. So here's our final harvest. I am very happy with this harvest. We have 15 potatoes in total. There are 3 big potatoes. There are 4 medium-sized potatoes, and there are multiple smaller potatoes. So the biggest potato is this big. It's almost 5 inches, and I'm very happy. Look how big the potatoes are. And the medium-sized potatoes are almost 4 inches, 3.5, 4 inches. And the smallest potato, on average, there are multiple potatoes, but on average, it's like size of a quarter or a little bit bigger than a quarter. This has been a very exciting project, given I have not fertilized this batch that much. When I was planting these potatoes, I was setting up rest of my vegetable gardens. I was really busy setting up a lot of beds and taking care of many other things. So this project was a little bit neglected, but had I harvested this a month from now and had I fertilized it at a schedule that it needs to be fertilized, I think I would have had a much bigger batch of potatoes. But it's not bad. I'm still very happy with this. So let's talk about how I grew these potatoes. All these 15 potatoes came from a seed potato that looked like this. So this is a 5-inch potato which I cut in half. This half had 2 eyes. Eyes are basically just sprouts on the potatoes. If you keep it in the kitchen for long enough, you will see some sprouts on the potato, and then it's ready to be planted. Everybody has different ways of planting potatoes. What I have learned is if you just keep 1 sprout per potato, and if you plant it, you get the biggest harvest. I didn't do it at this time. Here when I grew these, I had planted it with all its eyes on the seed. But this time I'm going to remove all the sprouts, and I'm just going to keep 1 sprout, and you plant them with the eye on top, and then you put dirt on it. I had planted these 8 inches deep, and it works beautifully. When you're putting dirt on top of the potato, mix that dirt with a lot of fertilizer. For this project, you would need a cup of bone meal and a cup of all-purpose fertilizer. Mix it in your dirt and then put it on top of your potato. And at a schedule of every 2 weeks, you can add more fertilizer if you want. That will yield biggest size of potatoes. So I'm going to have a follow-up video to this video, and we'll see how that batch turns out to be. I know I said I will harvest the next batch of potatoes after a month, but we are 2.5 weeks after our first harvest, and the plants have started wilting. So I'm assuming that the potatoes are now ready. I also had a wind damage on these crops, so I hope this is not the wind damage, but I do think some of the bags might be ready for a harvest. So let's find out. So just like last time, I'm going to load my 15-gallon bags into the wheelbarrow and look for potatoes. Here we go. This is our second harvest at 110th day. The first harvest was at 90 days. At 110th day, the next batch of plants have started wilting. So let's find out how many potatoes we get today. Between 90th day and 110th day, I only got to fertilize it once. So I'm not sure how big this harvest will be, but we can find out. So this is our final harvest at the 110th day mark. I got less number of potatoes compared to the 90th day harvest. However, the average size of potatoes are bigger than the previous batch. And I also found out that one of my seed potatoes had rotted. So basically all these potatoes had actually germinated from one seed potato. So it's still a success. And I can think why this potato rotted or this seed rotted. There was a problem with my irrigation system. I was definitely overwatering this section of the grow bag. So this potato rotted. So the lesson learned is we need to have a good irrigation system when we are planting our plants so that the seeds don't rot in soil. I'll actually make a video on irrigation because it's such a crucial part of gardening and it takes a long time to set it up. But once set up, you never have to hand water your garden again. So I hope you enjoyed watching my video today and you learned something just like I learned something today, and we'll keep learning and growing. So see you next time, and I hope you subscribe to my channel.